Any edits or changes to the minutes?
Kelly, I need to be included. I was there.
Yes, you were there.
Or I was somewhere, but I
You
heard
were.
everything.
I remember seeing that. Add Ron 2 minutes. Got it. Any other changes or edits or confusion?
I think I was there too, wasn't I?
I think so. You may have joined late, but I think you were there.
I think, yeah, that might be.
Okay. Yep, I'll add that as well. Thank you. So adding Ron and RJ, anything else? Move to accept minutes or approve minutes with those changes?
First of all, let me say that I really, really like this layout and that it has our mission statement right there. That's beautiful.
That's good. And Shannon did that on her own. I didn't, yeah. Angelique pointed out after last week's meeting that our mission statement, well, first of all, the website connected to the city was just out of date. So, and then our mission statement wasn't there. So like, that's right. And Shannon got that fixed, which is no tall order doing stuff like that because the city's tech team is reduced right now. And that probably was not viewed as a #1 priority, but they got it done. And then she put it on here. So yeah, I will, that is a very good thing. So move to approve with noted changes.
So moved.
So moved. Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Minutes are approved with the 2 corrections noted. The next, we have no public comment that I can think of. So there's Shannon. Welcome. I have to first apologize. The agenda, as you all saw, so like I made sure and send that to Shannon. She does a great job pulling all this together. And I've been crazy busy, so I sent her the new business, but I did not, I didn't send the full format, and I forgot to say like, oh, the old business really was, we don't have to pull that forward. So that's why that is still last meeting stuff that's on there. That's my fault. We did talk about the calendar, the nonprofit calendar. I did send a note to Matt Hawkins at the CVB about that idea, like what Jeff said, that why don't we just, is there any possibility of having a planning calendar and a final calendar rather than just nonprofit? I didn't hear back, which is unusual, so I'll follow up on that. And then the calendar awareness and discussion, I think that flows, that's part of our 2021 vision and objectives. Where do we want to point our efforts for the new year? So we'll pull that into that. So the first thing we can dispatch, I think, is the list of new meeting dates. Shannon, do we need to vote and approve on that, or is this just notification? Do you know?
You need to approve them.
Okay.
Council needs them. So that's why I
Okay.
pushed them together.
Yeah.
I was having technical difficulties this morning trying to see everybody, so I had to re-log in twice.
Well,
But I'm good now.
Excellent. I appreciate your persistence. So yeah, the meeting dates have to be approved for all commissions, all boards at the beginning of the year, before the beginning of the year, and then the council approves all of those. So this is the 3rd Thursday, continuing throughout 2021. And we approve these dates. They can always be adjusted if we give proper public notice of a date change, but these are then published as part of council. I don't know that are on our website, but they might be. So do we want a motion to approve the, yeah, Meryl?
Yes, I know. I have 2 mutes. I was just making sure that none of the, because I did not, for some reason, the agenda and minutes got really lost in my email. So I just thought I didn't get them. So I'm looking at them now, but September 16th is Yom Kippur. That meeting cannot happen then. So we need to reschedule that meeting.
Okay. 1, 2, 3. I'm wondering if there's if the month before has 5 Thursdays. Sometimes if there's a 5 Thursday month, you can sort of make the cadence still sort of work.
I'm so sorry I did not bring this up sooner. As I
August
said.
19th, 26th, second 9. August only has 4. Whoops, it's July, September. Well, we'll just recommend that it be move to the 23rd.
Yeah, September has 5.
Yeah, it does have 5 right there. So we'll just move to this 23rd for September.
Thank you kindly for
Sure.
honoring that.
January 21st is my birthday, so I don't know that we all can meet that day either.
Mimosas in the morning. No.
Right.
That's exactly.
You'll be sending out cupcakes ahead of time.
Mhm.
Meeting dates. All right, so September date, the September 16th date will be moved to September 23rd. And we will tune in on the 16th to hear Meryl's lovely musical presentation as part of Yom Kippur.
Yeah, no, that's the day that I ask everybody for money.
Oh, okay,
While they're hungry
That's
because
right.
they're fasting.
right. I catch them in a weakened condition. It's a fine, it's a fine tradition.
Why do we do this?
Yes. Oh, all right. Any other discussion around the meeting dates for 2021? Move to approve with that change? RJ, so moved. Second?
Second.
Second by Jeff. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? All right, Shannon, there's your meetings with that one change, and you'll get that to City Council. Thank you. All right. So chair and vice chair election process, I wanted to add a little bit more context. As I talked to Kelly Highland at, I sent this out last night, which was late, at the CVB about their newsletter. And we can talk about this a little bit more as part of revisiting that whole newsletter idea. Their newsletter is quarterly. They would love input from us, from the community. They take what's happening from the calendar. So there's a tight connection there from the calendar. They pull all that to a certain perspective, to a certain section on the newsletter. They do use Constant Contact, which is great because that captures opt-ins and opt-outs and keeps you legal for privacy rules, which is very important. And it also automates the mailing list. They have 1,500 subscribers, which in my mind is kind of low, and possibly something we can connect with that education part we talk about. And she was very open to partnership and even increasing to monthly at some point, which also brought me, I was thinking, well, we've talked about maybe more outreach, do we divide up the community and, we each have like beats or groups of cultural organizations or artists we reach out to, like, hey, what's happening? And then feed that into. So there's some interesting elements of a process that already exists that we might be able to amplify and serve some of our constituents' goals as well. And I love doing that kind of stuff, and moving out of the chair position, I would be happy to be like if we did like some kind of outreach, I'd be happy to be a collection point or be that connection and help with newsletter stuff. So I wanted to put that out there that I'll stay with the commission, but I just can't do the leadership stuff right now, as evidenced by the stuff that I'm like sending you guys stuff late the night before a meeting. That's a bad sign. Not something I like to do. So I did talk to Jim too, because normally the election process would be if we have one name, if only one person puts forward for the chair and one person for the vice chair, that would be a slate of officers. And we would just put that forward for discussion and vote. That's how most people do. If there's more than one name put forward for either position, the easy way to do in normal times is you would just put those names on a piece of paper, you'd pass it out in the room, you guys would circle your face, and turn it in to be anonymous vote, and you'd be done. Can't do that right now. So Jim said that the easiest way would be for the actual vote would be for people to email him individually, and he would be the collection point so that he'll know who voted for what, but none of us would be in the know about that, and he would report out from there. I even looked online, like, is there Robert's Rules of Order for COVID now? Did they adjust anything? And I didn't see anything, which is good because I didn't want to read that boring stuff anyway. So anyway, we have a lot, you guys have such good ideas. We have a lot of talent here. I know it's kind of like, oh, I don't need more responsibilities. Trust me, I get that. It could be, the responsibilities could be delegated better than I could. So I'm certain that a few of you would have much higher delegation skills than I do. So we do need some people that step up by November 30th. So still some time to talk about it, and I'm happy to answer any questions about it today. And then you can email me by November 30th if you're interested and willing to serve in one of those positions.
And what happens if nobody comes forward?
I'm not sure, actually. I actually am not sure.
Well, is it possible that we don't necessarily need to have a chair in the sense of all the responsibilities that's on there, and maybe we can like kind of split up some of those responsibilities?
Yeah, I think that's,
because
I think that's fair.
I feel like this group, that would be way easier, but I'm not going to take away from somebody who does want to step up. I'm just saying as another option, if everyone's feeling overwhelmed and like, I feel like I should step up because nobody else is, and we need a chair, and I really can't do it because I'm working 16-hour days in multiple locations. Yeah. And so like, but if there's a way that we can maybe disperse some of those responsibilities, maybe that would be more feasible for this group. I mean, I don't know if that's like a mandatory rule. There has to be a chair, and if there is, then maybe the chair can just be like, for this instance, until we do get a chair, maybe it could just be the go-to person for calling the meetings and stuff like that. But all the underneath responsibilities can be dissipated, maybe, or not dissipated, but dispersed.
You have to have a chair and a vice chair in name. The city needs someone to contact. That's in our bylaws, commissions and boards. Yeah. It's in the bylaws. But I think it could definitely be, someone could be, in charge of the, agenda, making sure we have agenda items. That's like kind of the big one. I feel a lot of responsibility, just because if that's not done in a timely manner, the meeting doesn't happen. And that's so like, I always have to make sure my calendaring and reminder system is sharp so that I don't miss that. And also so that I don't put Shannon or Jim in a tough situation where I'm like, oh my God, sending it like 3 minutes before she has to do something. I don't want to do that. But the other stuff, if we have someone else that regularly meets with Jim, if we have, certainly any of the duties could be dispersed, and it could be rotated, some of that stuff too. The agenda responsibilities could be rotated around on some kind of quarterly basis or something like that as well. So, but we do have to have a chair by name and listed for city contacts, and to make sure that we abide by the bylaws. I think all commissions and boards have a chair and a vice chair.
Oh, sorry, go ahead, Jeff.
I didn't say anything.
Oh, no, it just told the mic came up on you. I was like, oh shit, I don't want to interrupt. Pardon my French. I mean, I think it's a time issue for everybody. And for me, I just, unfortunately lost my county board race, which I had set time aside in terms of what my schedule was going to be going forward. So I have time to do the kind of things. And I love what Angelique's saying about dividing the duties, because I don't think I could be anywhere near as good as Kelly. And I'd be happy to be a vice chair as well, but I just volunteer my time.
Okay, I appreciate that. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. And, you know, I had lots of plans on the county board level, and now I have tons of time where I would have otherwise loved to put my focus and kind of drive my efforts forward here.
You have don't you have other political activity coming up?
No. This is on the record. Why you got to do that to me? No, I'm.
You don't have to. You can say no.
You heard it here. I picked up a packet, you know,
Okay.
just to explore options, and then not
Okay.
pursue it. I will be
Yeah.
voting for and supporting Jackie Gunnarsson.
I was careful in how I worded that in case just allowing you to say whatever you wanted to say.
No, sure. I appreciate you.
All right, so by November 30th, or please email me if you're interested, if you have other ideas. I guess you can nominate each other, I guess, but then you'd have to accept the wrath of your peer. So, and dispersing and delegating the ideas on the responsibilities, Angelique, I thought a lot about that too, that, you know, my default position when time gets crunched is to do it myself sometimes, because it's just like, oh, it's just faster to do it yourself kind of thing, which is not the right thinking, actually. So.
But it's really hard not to think like that when it does feel like everything is on your plate, and then you're like, well, it would take me longer to explain it than it would just to do it. So
Often.
like, that's like the struggle of a leader, is like needing to delegate, but also needing
Yes.
deadlines. You know what I'm saying? So I feel you.
Yep, it's a time-honored trait. I think that is hard to challenge, is hard to manage. So the other thing we wanted to talk about is, you know, where do we want to put our focus for 2021? Nobody knows what 2021 will even look like, although hopefully there will be some optimism. Adam, I will tell to you about what we talked about yesterday at the Bloomington Normal CVB Tourism Talks meeting. Matt invited me, so it was Doug Johnson, Adam Fox, and myself as their speakers yesterday, and did not fit with my schedule. And Matt is he's like, well, I want to get the names locked in. I want to get the agenda out, you know, because it's a public forum. People can register. So I'm like, all right, but put me last. Doug did a nice job setting up the arts and why arts are important. He has a nice presentation. I'm going to ask him for that. The, you know, dollars spent, wanting people to live in the community. He did a nice job of setting that up. Adam talked about the things that he normally plans, and then some of the ideas going forward. He's very much focused on participative arts. So, you know, there's watching a concert, but another, you know, he would like to see more. Here's people that can help you try an orchestral instrument, you know, here's, you know, have you ever tried to play a bassoon or a violin, you know, that more participative elements as well. And he's trying to think of ways to do that. And then I talked about our specific to our commission and our support education and, you know, bringing supporting diverse cultural organizations and artists. I talked about the cultural district to give an example of our advisory role to the city council. Was very well received. The three of us did very well together and referred to each other as well. Adam talked about the Google discussion group and said, you know, it's early stages, and he made a pitch for that because the gal from the David Davis Mansion was online. That particular talk is really about supposedly for like tourism. So it's like the hotel managers and catering managers. And there was only about, I think a total of 30 people, and maybe 10 people of that were like presenters and CVB and the usual suspects. But it was a good conversation, and that it kind of helps solidify that, you know, I'd be happy to play that connecting role if that's if that's something we want to look at going forward, is having them be the infrastructure maybe for some of the education and awareness we keep talking about, since they're so open to that. And then Matt also talked about a public art festival or some kind of festival. The CVB really wants, and they have some resources to put into something like that, be it a mural festival or public art festival, some kind of destination. You know, CVB's goal is to bring people to the city and sell hotel rooms and sell venues, which is tough right now. But they have some resources to put behind it, and to have some sort of festival where people see the things being created or see something being created in addition to seeing what else is here in the community. So I'm not sure how to bring that, help them bring that to life. We talked about the Public Art Commission, and Doug Johnson and I both agreed that that's got probably a long on-ramp, just with city council and the discussions and trying to make it an ordinance, that we don't need to wait for that. If the CVB wants to kind of like bring us and Normal's Department of Cultural Arts with Adam, and if Doug's in favor of it, to kind of build a recommendation for some kind of festival when people could actually stand next to each other again, that doesn't have to wait for a Public Art Commission ordinance. That can, if we can show support and we have kind of an idea, that could be presented to both town and city councils, if they wanted to support it. Or it doesn't, you know, it doesn't even need to do that. It just needs to be sort of developed. And Adam's a great coordinator, and he's like, oh yeah, you know, we decided that we'd support it, Adam can run it, and Doug will go find some artists. So in a lighthearted way. But everybody was sort of like, yeah, we could probably do that. So there was discussion around that. Go
Well,
ahead.
isn't that sort of our function, that we are, you know, we're sort of a convener, an aggregator of everyone else, and we don't, you know, we sort of technically don't do anything because
Right.
it's not our function to hold an event or to sort of sponsor it, really. I mean, we're just sort of the official sanction. We can, you know, we can connect people, like you mentioned. We're kind of a connecting entity. I mean,
Yeah. Yes, it is. That's exactly right. Ron?
I was just waving at a colleague that walked in the door.
Oh, how very genial of you.
we almost passed a motion, Ron. We almost,
I know. Yeah.
Anyway, other open discussion and input around our focus going, you know, into 2021. To Mark's point, it is hard to find our exact niche. You know, there's outreach. We touched on that. You know, like we all have like 8 groups or artists that we reach out to every now and then, like, hey, what's going on? How can I help? And then feed that somewhere. And someone, you know, we could work on, you know, the CVB's calendar, the CVB's newsletter, or, you know, also we could do all these things. We can actually maybe have someone be sort of that point person with maybe Adam and the CVB and Doug Johnson to see what a pitch would be for some sort of summer festival. I don't know how far down the line you'd want to, maybe you build the framework, and then when things become available, you fill in the details. So what are other thoughts around focus areas for next year?
Well, I'm looking at the community art project, and I've just kind of been toying with the idea. And when you asked us to think about what we would want from it, what I came up with in my head was that I want something that's interactive and usable. You know, like people can sit, people can interact with the art. So it's like something for everybody, and it promotes like this idea of inclusiveness in the community. And with that framework, I was reading an article in The Economist the other day, and I came across something really interesting. Friendship bench. It's something they've been putting up in places, and it's to help people deal with PTSD. And so, like, volunteers go out and sit and just talk to people. But the idea is to, bring people together to have discussion. And so, if I kind of splice that together, have artists design us places for people to sit and come together, and maybe we keep it COVID conscious and make them, these seats are 6 feet apart so that, you know what I mean? It's something for direct look at our time, you know what I mean? And then the other idea I had was that each alderperson, when we do this, we could consult with each alderperson and do like a piece of art for each ward. And then that brings them into the play. And so that's nice for like, they could hold public meetings there because they helped their people build it, a press piece for everybody to get a picture of themselves at the park they helped do. And so bringing them into the game was something else I thought might be, really.
I think bringing certainly into the different wards is important as part of the plan, for sure, because that helps with the you're only investing in downtown.
Right.
Both communities have that overlay, like you're only investing in downtown Bloomington or you're only investing in uptown Normal. Both communities suffer from that. So definitely, I think that looking at different wards, making sure that things are spread out and that they identify locations for that.
Well, there was one other thing, and that was in the framing of it. I almost feel like it might be beneficial to have somebody from zoning at least be like a liaison to the commission who's making these decisions to make sure that we're putting stuff in places.
That's a good point. They may have someone on the Public Art Commission. That's a good point. I know that the commission would be convened ad hoc, so there'd be an application process. Right now, it's being viewed like it'll be an application process. So I want to put out a piece of art. I personally think there also needs to be a solicitation process. Like, we're looking at this opportunity, we've identified this space. Do we have artists willing to pitch something? But there's a lot of requirements. We've touched on this before. It has to be weather good, good for the weather. It can't have like, a bunch of things on it that's gonna, cut a 5-year-old that climbs on it. And artists need to be paid too. So all of that has to come into play. Angelique?
While we're talking about this commission, I just want to get it out there and put it in the books that the same thing that I emailed you, it was my second point of what I emailed you is it is absolutely critical and crucial that if we are making recommendations, that we say that this commission has to be diverse, not just culturally, but abilities, mental health professionals, or people that are tapped into those spaces. It is imperative for the community to progress moving forward and to be the community where every single person, no matter where they came from in the world, feels welcome here. That means that they see representation, they see a work that looks indigenous or is from a Latin artist or from Indian, what I'm saying? Like, seeing that makes you feel welcome in this space. So that is absolutely imperative that we make sure that that is one of the top recommendations or things that we are putting forward, and that we can accomplish this by reaching out to like the diversity of the Office of Diversity and Inclusion at Wesleyan and other spaces like at like the Black student unions, and what I'm saying, like finding these professionals in the community that, what I'm saying, like, and I can really, really help with that. That's something that I am extremely passionate about, and that I will take that on to help find those people. But that needs to be.
So on the public, you're talking about serving on the Public Arts Commission.
Yes.
Okay.
I wonder if we could build on that as a commission and just identify, like build on what RJ said and what Angelique said about coming up with a set of initiatives that we as a commission advocate and work on, and then we could possibly break into teams, and some of us could direct energy one way, maybe direct energy another way. we come together and meet, and maybe we'd find that
Yeah.
more of us would want to all get on board with this given initiative at this particular moment and put more effort into it. I mean, because that's kind of what we do. We advocate,
Right.
we connect, we convene meetings, we go out there and make sure, we could be the moral conscience of the arts and culture community,
Mhm.
making sure that there's diversity in the activity. I mean, kind of a, we're supposed to be a commission or a board of governors or a board of trustees or overseers, because we don't actually, do it. We just, we can be the moral conscience and we can advocate. So, I mean, I think as far as a way to move forward, we could have some initiatives that we could vote on. What should they be? Should it be, I like the idea a lot of focusing on wards, because obviously then you pull in the council person and possibly get something done. And then of course it's a great idea to make sure that we're, no one is going to be some people will be anti-diversity, but the point is it needs to be done. So, and a few other ideas. It seems like then we've got a little bit of focus, and then people can, like Angelique said, we can go where we feel passionate and or have expertise or have connections. And I don't know, just a thought.
That's good thoughts. Very good thoughts.
So can I ask I know Jim, I don't know if Jim's here, or Kelly, if you know, do we have an update on what's happening with the Public Art Commission?
I do not.
Generally, because I think this is our second or third conversation about that group, but
I think it's it's an ordinance, a city ordinance. So each time, it's been before the council twice now, and each time it's pushed further out. And a lot of conversation is, to Angelique's point about who's going to serve. We have 2 slots, the beautification has 2 slots, and I think there's only 3 other slots on the commission. So maybe even 2, I can't remember how many, but you can only, and maybe the commission itself then has an outreach group. Like they could actually have another circle, but like this is the final decision group, because I definitely agree that decisions don't get made once you get there's 22 people on this group. But you can certainly have an outreach and an input group that maybe frames and provides input. And that would be for them to deal with. By, to Mark's point, we could create that initiative that our input and our recommendations for this commission are, and that we've developed some and have approved them and put those forward to the city manager and assistant city manager that are working on that, particularly since we will have representation on that commission. I think that's well said. And we are sort of board of trustees trying to raise the cultural arts in the city and be advocates for those folks.
Maybe
and initiative's a nice word.
Excuse me, maybe we could come up with an agenda in the December meeting. We're having a December meeting, right?
Yes.
Yeah, for the 2021, Cultural Commission activity.
Yeah, we could even, we could have several, working on developing several initiatives that we would focus on, like maybe one around, under our support and advocacy umbrella, maybe that captures if we're going to do anything around newsletter or calendaring or something, and then like make that initiative, and here's who's going to be the connecting points and what we recommend going forward. And maybe another initiative, I like the word initiative, Mark. Another initiative is what a formal recommendation for our input towards the Public Art Commission, since it's not finalized yet. This is our input, this is what we would recommend, and make sure that that's received and read by.
Won't that be ongoing? Because we have did I understand we're going to be two of us, not me, but 2 of us are going to be on that commission?
Yes.
Also? So what, are we going to be on 2 commissions, or what's the deal? Is that a committee?
That's, that's, because when Jim said something like, I think the chair of the commission should also sit on the Public Art Commission of both Beautification Commission and this commission. I'm like, that's too much, Jim. You can't, maybe the chair wants to do that, but you can't, that's tough to mandate that. That makes the chair of the commission like even worse, like, oh, and you have to do this over here. I think we need to find, right now it's an ad hoc committee. So it's anticipated it only meet like 2 or 3 times a year to review actual art. But personally, I think that's a little bit narrow because it's going to need people to really roll their sleeves up to get it going. What is their structure? Who's their outreach? To your point, Angelique, how do we find, if we do have budget, or if there's, how do we get people to apply? How do you get artists to apply to even put art there? That's going to need some work. It's not just going to magically happen. So yes, 2 of us would be serving on 2 commissions, and 2 people from the beautification committee would be serving on 2 commissions, and they meet monthly as well. So it was, that outline in the ordinance was done with the right heart, I think, that you don't want this other commission doing things without connection to the other 2 commissions. But since they didn't ask either commission before they developed it, which I think would have been helpful, there may need to be more discussion around that. But, when it comes to delegation, the 2 of us that would be serving on that commission, that would be our thing, that may be all that we can do as a member of this commission. That is our role, and that would be your responsibility. And I don't know if it's a permanent serve, like, terms, or if you could kind of round robin that, like maybe 6 months apiece or something to make it more palatable.
It seems like if we had one of our representatives, it seems like having a representative of the Cultural Commission be in attendance at those given meetings, that would be sufficient to bring back, and provide feedback and whatever the case.
That's probably true. 1 would be probably sufficient. Do we really need 2?
Well, could we also just, decide when the meeting's coming up to send 2 representatives, whoever's available that time, might be the way to go.
Yeah, it's not a standing meeting. So, Angelique?
I was only saying that I like RJ's point.
Mm.
That's a good point. If we don't have to be if we don't have to be like a set 2 people, that way nobody's getting overwhelmed. It's just like the chair position. Like, can we just be a family? Can we just share everything?
Can we just be family?
Just share the chores.
But it could be a set position that goes to it, because maybe it's better that the same person goes. If they don't mind. We're making all this service as chair and service as a representative to be a hell scape or something, and people might actually like it.
That's true.
Some people might like it.
Yeah, I guess my only concern is accountability obviously is a concern because people get busy, and so I don't know how far, like how much notice we'll have, how far in advance we can plan.
Right.
But if we can get visibility into that would be helpful. But I guess the idea about having a public art festival and planning for that, whether it's the CVB or whatever our role is in that, seems a little premature to me since this commission isn't up and running.
You're right. I would.
If I was on that commission and then I heard this other thing was happening and I was I think it's a good idea. I just don't know if now's the right time. And, I know 2020, I know everyone is really having a hard time planning right now for 2021 and what that looks like. I saw Adam's note last night about moving Make Music Normal to Labor Day and things like that. So we're going to, best case scenario, we go to phase 4, phase 5 sometime next year, and we can even have outdoor festivals. What does that look like?
Right.
When, and how does that all come together? I don't think anyone knows the answer yet, but if it were like Finding Lincoln and you could do it on your own and there were no group components to it. I think there could be something with that, but I it's a good idea. I just maybe need some a pause until this group can come together in some format, because that could be a great initiative for them to help spearhead in
Definitely.
coordination with others, not on their own, but
I think that's a good insight, and I would agree. You don't want two groups. You don't want duplicating anything. Groups too small, towns too small. So definitely you don't want duplicated work. And if the council approves this and it moves forward, absolutely, there'd be the cross point and maybe a good launch pad. If it gets kicked down 6-8 months, maybe revisit that. The CVB, Matt, he uses Public Art Festival, and he said yesterday too, like, it doesn't have to be public art. He's looking for how can the CVB direct some of their resources to a more cultural focus. That's really their overarching thing. And it needs to fit, obviously, in their mission, which is to drive economic, and tourism. So that's why he thinks like destination or an event. That's why he thinks in that umbrella.
so can I just add one thing?
No.
I looked up the notes from the October 26th city council meeting, and it says it was approved. I don't know what that means. I don't have anything else, but the
I don't remember
idea.
it being, I thought it was,
Was it like the approved to have city staff do research into what?
No, that was the meeting before.
that was a September meeting.
That was the September meeting. October meeting says it was the same meeting where the Public Safety and Commission Relations Board changes came up. So that was the big news from that meeting. But the secondary news was the council approved a Public Arts Commission long in the works. This was also the meeting where Juneteenth became a city holiday.
I'll have to go back and watch that, because I thought I watched that council and there was just more discussion and largely around the makeup of the council.
6-3
and-
vote.
So maybe I didn't hang around long enough for the vote. Or maybe that was the normal city council. There's a period of time there where I was watching too many city councils and confirming all of my instincts
know,
about
it's
why I
hard
would
to-
never run for public office.
It's hard to keep them all straight, but there were the three no votes were Bolin, Painter, and Bray in opposition to the lack of clarity on public funding.
Yeah, they were focused
The
on funding.
council budget process would require approval of spending for commission purchases.
Yeah,
We're not committed to spending any money, but we support the commission and what it has said it does. Most people want to see this move forward.
well, I will ask Jim
Yay.
where he's at, because I know that it was his plan was sort of part of the development of this. But I did not realize it had passed. I must not have watched that, or I must not have watched it all the way to the end. I will say that Bloomington's council meetings are actually less, the one I went to in normal, it was far more tedious than the Bloomington one. So
That's hard to believe.
it was indeed hard to believe. I will give you that. I was just astounded. And the item that I had been asked to speak public comment, I don't live in Normal, but I was doing public comment for the bike club. And naturally, the bike plan was the very last item on the agenda. And I was like, I don't know how these people do it every 2 weeks. I don't get it. So RJ, if you seek and get elected office, good luck to you, because that is, I don't know how you sit through the meetings.
Patience of a saint. Don't we need another, are we ever going to get another council person on this commission? It was kind of nice having one.
It is kind of nice having one. And when, Jamie sort of advocated, he likes the technology commission, and then he left it to Jeff. And then when Jeff left, Jeff had actually applied to be on the commission before he was a city council person. So that was sort of like, oh, it'll just be Jeff. When he left, that was actual formal vacancy. So I hadn't really revisited that. So that's a good question. It's not in our laws that we have to have one. It just says that they can serve there, but it is very helpful to navigate both up and down the council, what's going on, what they think, and help smooth the waters for us sometimes.
We're still short a member, aren't we? We still could get one more.
Yeah, we have an opening. I do have a person that, I can't remember her name, made an inquiry. She's a CEO of a small business in town. She's Indian, and I can't remember her name. So, because I said I would give her a call. So we did have an inquiry. So I'll let you know about that. But I will follow up with Jim about city council.
Service to the commission.
Serving on the commission, yeah. Or even a liaison, a formal liaison that we could convince to at least, attend a meeting or every other meeting, and not being a formal commissioner or not taking, so to speak, a commissioner slot. City council member, whatever happened to that?
Yeah, it'd be nice to have a, like you say, a liaison or an advocate on the council that, would
Yes.
be friendly to us and,
Yes. Only friendly need apply.
yeah.
I was real mad at Jamie and Jeff when they left, because they left right when I joined. And I was like, what the heck, guys? Like, as I know them both outside of, the political world and stuff. And I was like, what the heck, guys? I didn't even get to do a meeting with you.
Well, I think Jeff is happy on his role as council. And I think he's friendly to us. I think, Jamie and Jeff, most of the council are very friendly to us, which is very nice. We've developed good relationships there.
Well, Jeff,
They just don't.
He owes to let us, to get us active in his ward. And actually, I live in his ward. So I'll throw his ass out if he doesn't do what we want.
The way democracy works, yes.
I'll pressure him.
Yes, pressure him to be friendly. So, but I'll follow up on that, and we'll put that. We can try to put that in the notes, meeting notes. So going back to initiatives, what initiatives would we want to stake our claim in for 2021 or develop for 2021? We want something, our initiative for, I'm trying to think if we actually do a little bit of the work, if we do some outreach and find out what's going on and feed that into the CVB calendar, that's some doing, and it helps with the advocacy piece and how do we get that set up? So is that,
maybe we could all think about it and send it. I mean, I know you're heading out, but we might as well burden you one more time. That if we all thought about what we care about mostly, what we think is passionate, then we could all maybe vote or contemplate that next meeting. These will be all 5 initiatives or however many we want to have based on the interest. And maybe we can group people together in a way that's similar.
And then to develop those out over the next month or two, that would be good. Ron?
Kelly, would it be worthwhile to just assume that we want to be the leader in recommendations for the diversity and everything else on this public commission that's being developed, and try and bring Billy Tyrus into that group with us? Maybe invite him to the December meeting so we really understand what he wants to do, because it seems to me that either he or somebody else is driving this whole thing. And I'm not sure they really understand or they care about what our role is going to be. I think we're sitting there and we're a public commission, so we got to be included. So why don't we tell them how we want to be included? Okay.
Yeah.
And maybe have that conversation with him in the meeting and try and develop that relationship as opposed to a strong aldermanic relationship.
Aldermanic. Is that a word?
I made
great.
it up.
I
I
like
made
it.
it up. Well, he's at a higher position on the food chain. Okay. The second thing is that maybe the initiative, maybe we only have 2 initiatives, and I'm saying that's one of them. The second one is trying to develop that relationship with the CVB. I think that's a very, very, very good idea. Having been involved with CVBs, they're looking for help.
Yeah, they are.
And I think they're looking for experience. And maybe we can be that partner because, as you pointed out, they have money. They also have a cachet that's already there that seems to be developing into a more butts in the seats interest, particularly during the COVID. And we're the advocate for that.
Right.
So maybe those, in my mind, those are the 2 initiatives that we can use.
I'll definitely look into inviting Billy to the summer meeting. That's not a bad idea. To hear if we'll confirm if he's the right person. Like, is he really the driver? Or, I know he met with Doug Johnson about the commission individually, so he does seem to be. I'll have Jim do that, inquire and see if he would come to the meeting.
Are we talking about the Public Art Commission still?
Yeah, for him to explain what the role would be.
And don't we have 2 votes on it if we're on it? So we do have a say, so they don't have total control, right?
No, they don't have total control. I mean, Ron, you were talking about what if they have a vision for what it's supposed to do. Is that what you were kind of focused on?
Yeah, and make our initiative that vision.
Well, and I mean, I think we could use some clarity around timing, what is the commission going to make recommendations on the funding model and the frequency? I mean,
yeah,
I haven't heard anything about it, which maybe means it's 90 days out still, but it would be good to compile some questions, get some feedback, and then whoever on this group, I'd be happy to volunteer also, then pull together our group's feedback and share a written proposal, or maybe invite him back to the January or February meeting and present that in person.
Fair enough. Yeah.
Yeah, I like that. And I like the idea of us putting forward, like, these are the things that we would recommend the commission incorporate and be attentive to in order for it to be the best success possible.
And since I think our mission statement can be integrated in with those things.
Yeah, that's.
And if we do that, we're going to be coming from a very positive point of view, and maybe we can be more influential. Because I think we were blindsided by this.
Yes.
And that offends me, but it is what it is. So we got to deal with it, and we've got to try and be the commission that we've thought we want to be.
Mm-hmm. Yes, it's definitely an opportunity to insert ourselves in a way that says, we are the board of trustees, to Mark's point, and trying to advocate.
I think when Mark said that just struck me as being extremely right on point.
Well, Mark, your work here is done, clearly. Yeah.
They don't know who they're messing with. They can blindside us.
Yeah, when I wrote that note to all the council people, I was like, I had to read it several times to make sure it didn't sound snarky, because that's the mood I was in at the moment. So I had Jim read it because I never want to create back office conflicts for him due to something, you know, we step in or something. So, but he was like, no, fine. All right. All right. So by our next meeting, well, actually, our first deadline is November 30th. If you are interested in chair or vice chair, even in name only, and you can explain that if you'd like. Like I can take some of it and be the point person, but I can't take all of it. Here's my thoughts. So please, that's the first deadline. Our next meeting is December 16? No, 17. Next meeting is December 17th. So I would suggest having like initiative or a focus statement for next year. If you have ideas, have those to me by December 9th, because then we could actually kind of, I can pull those together from different, if people have similar ones, we can pull those together and then have those ready to kind of, and then you can have them before the meeting, which would be nice. Like this is what everybody said. So by December 9th, any kind of like an initiative, like to Ron's point, an initiative to develop and put forward our recommendation for an integrated, you know, for maybe we use part of our mission statement, but for the Public Art Commission, for the best success of the Public Art Commission or our role, like that's a mission or an initiative. And another initiative might be grow and solidify the partnership with CVB around cultural arts. So by December 9th, if you have like an initiative that you think we would, or a statement we would like to focus on in 2021. And then our next meeting is December 16th. And December 16th, we will take the vote on of some sort for chair and vice chair. And I will have Jim invite Billy to that meeting and see how that goes. And I will, I'll also ask Jim about city council liaison to our commission. Like at a minimum, can we have a formal liaison that we feel comfortable with, they understand what we're doing, and that can advocate with us for the city? Because I think that, I don't know that I really thought about that, but yeah, like if Jamie was still a former member of the commission, would we have come up in the Public Art Commission conversation sooner? Because he was in a regular contact and was more top of mind. So I will ask about that.
Well, Jim can probably recommend the current council member who is the most, most interested in the arts. So.
Yeah, his recommendation would be a good point.
I hope there's time in the meeting. I'm always afraid when we bring somebody in, it takes up the whole meeting. So I hope we have time to vote on the new leadership, and then also on some initiatives to start a focus for next year. So
like maybe we focus it to the point where maybe we have our guests come in at 7 or at 8:15. Like, you know, let's time box it a little bit so that we get our work done, and then they know that they have so much time and then have to be quiet. All right, good work. Shannon and I will put together some notes. I've got some here, and
send in your thoughts to you, right? Not to Shannon?
No, send them to me, and I'll consolidate all those. So it looks like Shannon left. She must have had something else.
She's still there. I see her. I can see her.
Yeah, I'm here. I've taken 2 pages of notes.
Okay. I know, I bet. I was just so like, oh, yeah, I have some notes too. So yeah, between the two of us, we always get it down.
Yeah. And some of it was redundant. So, I mean, we go over those thoughts and then we were like, wait, did we make that decision? So, I mean, that's what half the pages are sometimes.
Sometimes, I know. I appreciate you wading through that. So
we make it happen.
Yep, cool. All right. Yeah, send me your thoughts. By November 30th and then by December 9th. And with that, we will adjourn. I hope that your friend and family circles continue to be healthy and safe. So have a good afternoon. Thanks.
Bye-bye.
Happy Thanksgiving, everyone.